Now, my captains and scholars, the Allocution. Well, we all know what's going on in the Arab world right now. We see it in Tunisia, in Egypt, in Yemen, some problems actually in Syria, Jordan. We've seen the photos and the videos of the masses. Picture, if you will, a radical cleric. He's leading a ragtag collection of dissidents, the poor, disenfranchised, women, but also some intellectuals, also some middle-class mainstreamers, also some well-to-do. They come into the streets of the capital. The national government is very concerned. In fact, they've been concerned about this guy for a while. They already have files opened up on him. They already have investigations prepared for this religious leader. There are several going on in many countries, in fact. To some, this radical cleric is a freedom fighter. And to others, he's a menace to peace and stability. He is a rabble-rouser, a terrorist sympathizer, an enemy of the United States. And in fact, he's been imprisoned more than once. Think about this. Imagine if he gets his way. Imagine if his government bends to his demands. Imagine if things turn out the way he wants them to. He will take his religious radical agenda and change everything that many in this country have worked decades to maintain. He will break decades of societal stability, institutional tradition, and he'll radicalize the people against a lot of people in the U.S. government. Picture the ramifications of such a scenario. Then picture that religious leader, that cleric, that rabble-rouser, that menace, that terrorist sympathizer as Martin Luther King Jr. Because that's who I was talking about. Because that's how he was seen 50 years ago. Because that's what we were afraid of. That man, that religious zealot, that cleric, that rabble-rouser. Yeah. So am I comparing the uprising in Egypt and Tunisia and Yemen to MLK civil rights marches? Well, not really, but in one way I am. And the way is, what did we expect? What did we expect? Of course, if the Muslim world is going to become democratic, of course, in Muslim majority countries, some of the leaders are going to be Muslim. They're going to be Islamic. Yes, that's going to happen. Did we expect them to all be secular or Christian or Jewish or Hindu? No, they're going to be Muslim. And they're going to have names like the Muslim Brotherhood and Islamic this and Muslim that. And they're going to be clerics. And there are going to be imams who are going to be behind democratic movements and anti-autocratic movements. Of course, it has to happen. It should happen. It's the way of things. When it happened in our country, when we had reverends and priests and people standing up for our rights, did we all of a sudden think the world was going to end? Well, people in other countries did, sure. When America was being born, when our democracy was being created, a lot of people thought, oh my God, it's the end of the world. Just as we seem to be doing now, afraid of a democratic movement. But aren't we the ones who talked about a democratic movement in all of the world? Aren't we the ones who talk about we should always have, democracy, we support democracy, we support democracy? Haven't we done that for years? Isn't that why we invaded Iraq? So that we could bring democracy to them? We're going to bring democracy to the entire Middle East? Well, now it looks like it's coming. And you're hearing a lot of fear, particularly from the right, about, oh my God, do we really want this? Do we really want this? But when President Bush was saying, let's go into Iraq and let's give them democracy, the right was saying, yes, it's a great idea, give them democracy. Now all of a sudden, wait, do we really want to give them democracy? We want to give them our democracy. There's no reason to be afraid here. How can you say that, Larry? How can you say there's no reason to be afraid? What happens when the Muslim Brotherhood takes over Egypt? If the Muslim Brotherhood takes over Egypt in a democratic way, so be it. It was the destiny of Egypt, right? It was going to happen eventually. Let it happen. But if it's democratic, at least now there's some accountability within their own government. Here's the problem. Even though we're scared of this democracy popping up, even though we're worried about this because these protests have lasting so long and so hard, the odds of a democracy popping out of Egypt, not so high. Probably not going to work. Now, do I know that for sure? Of course not. But here's what I do know. The people of Egypt don't really want a democracy. How can I say that? Because if they really wanted a democracy, and that's all they wanted, they would have been protesting for the past 100 years. I don't know, however long Egypt's had a monarchy, basically an autocracy, 200 years, 1,000 years, since the pharaohs. Why all of a sudden now? What makes the Egyptian people say we want democracy now? Now, what they want now is change. Ford, the car maker, I believe it was him who said, if I'd asked the people what they wanted, they would have told me a faster horse. They wouldn't have told me a car. And if he would have given them a faster horse, they would have been happy. Well, the people of Egypt just want to eat. They want to have better lives. They think that's democracy, so they go after it. But if they thought they could get it without democracy, a lot of them wouldn't care. They care about their day-to-day issues. So, why am I telling you all this? Because as everyone clamors and worries, and all of a sudden the fear-mongering pops out about, oh my God, the Muslim Brotherhood's going to take over, and do we really want democracy, and all these horrible things. Are we going to get Hamas in Egypt, and so and so? Well, here's the truth. Hamas and Muslim Brotherhood and every other group is already there in Egypt. In fact, the Muslim Brotherhood is one of the more benign of all of the Muslim groups in Egypt. Just sounds tough to our American ear. But in reality, they're already there. And the strongman Mubarak is holding them in check right now. And eventually he's going to fall. If we just stay on the side of the people, the odds of stuff happening to us, slim to none. If we just stay out of the way and stop meddling and let these countries naturally obtain their own democracy, we'll be okay. But they're probably not going to right now because most of these protests fail. We've seen it happen in Myanmar. We've seen it happen in lots of areas. Iran, who knows what's going to happen in Tunisia. Generally speaking, they take one autocrat and they swap it out and put another one in charge. So we're going to lose Mubarak and take some other strongman. That's probably going to happen, but maybe it won't. Anyway, why do you care? You care because you're scared, because someone's on TV is yelling that all of a sudden now 9/11 is going to happen again because there's democracy and Hamas will take over Egypt. Probably not going to happen. But tell me, do you think I'm right? Do you think I'm wrong? Let me know. 877-480-4120 or talk at ivorytowerradio.com.